Hello, good evening. We're back after a couple of weeks' respite. Brian and I are back with another episode of Tiger Bite. Hope you're well and hope you've been enjoying the recent weeks of Speedway action. I am Derek Smith and we joined by the rejuvenated, revitalised Brian Copeland. Hello, Brian.
Good evening, Derek. It's been a while since I saw you. I thought they'd maybe cut the internet off to Cumbernauld or something, but glad to see you're still with us.
So, Brian, let's dispel any rumours first and foremost, because there was never going to be a Tiger Bite 2 weeks ago because we had nothing to preview, and last week there would have been one, but we had some technical issues at the 11th hour and we couldn't interrupt people's timelines. So here we are, 3 weeks on, and trying to remember what on earth to do. So, Brian, on tonight's show, we will have a brief look back. It's ancient history now, but we will look back on Tigers' playoff exit to the hands of Sheffield. Congratulations to Sheffield, incidentally, on becoming championship champions. We'll have a look back to the KO Cup quarter-final ties, which concluded over the weekend with a successful progression to the semi-finals for the Tigers. And with the help of Chris Harris, we'll take a look forward to possibly the biggest event staged in Scottish Speedway in quite some time, as Glasgow stage, of course, the Individual Riders' Championship this Saturday night. So, Brian, as ever, a lot to skip through. We talked about the playoff semi-final, which is now ancient history, all done and dusted a couple of weeks ago, and in fact, the final has long since taken place as well. But looking back on the semi-final, and I've only been released from therapy in the past few days after that, but Sheffield were clearly vindicated in selecting Glasgow as opponents in the semi-final, and the first leg result down at Owlerton pretty much settled the deal, didn't it?
Yeah, the damage was done in that first leg, unfortunately. 28 points was always going to be very, very difficult to make up, and obviously when it got to the second leg, and there was kind of some delays and things as well, which didn't really work in our favour, and it just didn't go our way. It was one of those where they caught us probably at our worst point of the season, and they were in probably the form of the best form of their season. So everything conspired against us, unfortunately. But we just move on, and as you say, Sheffield were certainly worthy winners. I think they proved that with a fairly hefty win over 2 legs over Ipswich as well, which just kind of showed their strength, I think. So we were certainly beaten by the better team, and I don't think it's any disgrace to go out to Sheffield.
No, I agree with you, and it was probably the correct final as well. Sheffield and Ipswich were probably the forum teams over the course of the season. And anyway, congratulations once again to all at Sheffield Speedway. More recently, of course, over the weekend, indeed, we have started our KO Cup defence. Faced Newcastle in the quarter-final, which of course was a repeat of last season's final. And with a rare Friday night Speedway action at Ashfield last week, Tigers travelled down to Rough Park with only a 2-point lead. And only the bravest of Tigers fans, I think, would have suggested that was going to be enough.
Certainly would have, yeah. I think when we lost those 2 5-1s in the last 2 heats, I think there was probably many who thought we'd potentially thrown it away. And you can understand why people would think that. Newcastle have been fairly good at home most of the season. I think the last time we were down there, we lost by, sort of more than 10 points. And I don't think anyone really expected us to go there and win, just given the form we've had recently. People maybe thought that was a sort of continued on Friday night, even though we had for most of the meeting kept a decent sized lead. We kind of let that slip in the latter stages. But full credit to the team. I think it would have been easy for them to go with their heads down to Newcastle on Monday. And fully expected to get well beaten. They didn't. They went and fought for every point, and their efforts were rewarded with the passage to the next round. And I think the guys deserve credit for that. They've had a tough few months, and people have been on their back. Perhaps fairly in some cases. But they didn't let that get them down, and they went and fought, and they could have quite easily just let the season slip away, and that would have been that. So they clearly still want to go and win this, and here's hoping they can show the same kind of fight in the next round.
I think that was the most pleasing aspect, Brian, that the fight that the team showed down at Brough Park on Monday night. Credit to Connor Coles and Richard Hall and Ricky Wells for their guest performances at Ashfield last Friday night. But of course, the Tigers welcomed back into the side Dan Bewley, Jack Smith, and James Sargent made another guest appearance. And it was a team representative of the Glasgow side that we all have known and loved this year, and that made it all the more pleasing that we took the fight to Newcastle, and of course won in the end in a very tense Heat 15.
Yeah, I think getting those riders back was crucial. Dan Bewley's contribution was vital. He was chipping in with, second and third places throughout the match. That from a second string is important when your Heat leaders are on the kind of form that they were on Monday night. All the top three guys bagging some important wins. So you need the likes of Dan Bewley to be backing them up. Fortunate for Jack Smith having to withdraw after a bit of a tumble. Hopefully he's okay for the forthcoming fixtures. And what can we say about James Sargent? I mean, he's really putting himself in the shop window at the moment for us and others for next season, given his lowly average. And he's put in some really strong performances for us. Perhaps they haven't really made a difference the previous couple that he had, because they were in the playoffs, and it didn't really make a difference to the result of that. But he's kind of proven how good he could be. And that Heat 14 win, he must have had some real mental strength to go out and get that against Ludwig Lindgren in Heat 14, because had Newcastle won that Heat, I think that was it all over. So a big well done to James Sargent on his performance.
Yeah, I would echo that. Well done, Sarge. And of course that Heat 15 particularly tense, and Aaron and Richie, who had a poor start to his meeting on Monday night, stepped up and secured a 5-1, which in the end eased the Tigers into the semi-final. And we're going to face Peterborough, of course, in the next round. First leg at Peterborough on Sunday, and then we return to Ashfield on Tuesday night. 7:30 tapes up, I believe, and hopefully can conclude on Tuesday night where the Tigers can extend the season yet further.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I think that Peterborough are a tougher prospect. We'll hear from Chris Harris in a minute and hear his thoughts, but he's I think got some confidence that they are a decent team, and I think he's quite right to think that. They've got him. Jack Holder has been in the form of his life, had his best season so far, and they've got plenty of strength and depth. So they'll have every reason to be confident. And given they didn't really come close to ever challenging for the league, I think the KO Cup will be the one that they want to go on and win now. So, but we've had a disappointment in the league as well, and we'll be just as hungry. So you just whoever turns up on the night, but Sunday's meeting at Peterborough is crucial, because we've not gone well there really at all this season, and we've got to put in a better performance this time around if we're going to stand a chance.
Just before we turn more attention to that Knockout Cup tie, a note of appreciation and bad luck, hard lines actually, to Aaron Summers and Richard Lawson for a sterling effort at Sheffield on Sunday in the pairs, and lost out on a final place in what appears to be controversial circumstances.
Yeah, I spoke to Stuart after that one, Stuart Dixon, of course, and he claims to have been shown a photo by the track photographer which shows Aaron well ahead of Ben Barker on the line. So I know Aaron was really frustrated as well, after that Heat result was called. So, a bit of feeling that we should have had that one, and had we made it to the final, then I think we would actually had a pretty good chance to go on and win it. So it's a real shame. The luck just doesn't seem to have been on our side this season much.
So at a team level, Brian, focus turns to the Knockout Cup semi-final, Sunday at Peterborough, Tuesday in Glasgow. But before then, of course, we've got a major event date on Saturday night. All roads from all around the UK Speedway will lead to Ashfield on Saturday as Championship fans travel to support their number one riders in the Individual Riders Championship. The first time ever being staged in Scotland.
Yeah, it's a shame, of course, that it was rained off a few weeks back. I do think that lineup then was virtually unchanged, and we would have had, the strongest lineup that could possibly be achieved. Obviously, there's one or two guys that are since picked up injuries, unfortunately, and wouldn't make it. But I think it's still a sign of the strength of this league that, even the replacements that will be coming in are strong themselves. And we wait to hear the full lineup. But I think you've got to look, even through the third and fourth riders down in certain team lineups are still very strong and still more than capable of putting in a challenge on Saturday night. So still be a fantastic occasion. There's still plenty of top guys coming along there. We'll be speaking to a couple of them in a minute, and just lots to look forward to. A good chance to just kind of relax and enjoy some great racing.
Well, as you've hinted already, Brian, one rider that we've caught up with already, who's very much looking forward to lots of laps around Glasgow over the course of the next week or so, is Chris Boma Harris. Let's hear from him now. Okay, delighted to be joined on tonight's episode of TIGERBITE by perhaps one of the favourites for Saturday night's Riders' Championship at Ashfield, Mr. Bomber Harris. Good evening, Chris.
Evening.
Mr. Bomber Harris. I forgot the Chris part. Chris, thanks for joining us. And we're speaking to you, of course, in the lead up to a prestigious event that Glasgow are going to host this Saturday night. The first time that the Riders' Championship has been staged in Scotland, never mind Glasgow, so we're all pretty excited about it. Second time of asking, of course, given the rain off a few weeks ago. I don't know whether you sit down and have a look at the lineup for big meetings like this, Chris. Do you just take these individuals in your stride, given your vast experience?
Yeah, well, being an old timer now, it's always tough, these competitions. You've got the best riders in the league battling out, so it's a great one to be involved in.
Chris, have you had much luck in this kind of competition in the past when you were perhaps racing in Premier League towards the start of your career, or indeed in the Elite League or Premiership equivalent of the competition?
I've really never been that good in this level for some reason. Obviously in the Elite League one, what was, and now the Premiership, whatever it's called, I finished second a few times and third, but yeah, I've never won this one, so it'd be one that I would like to win.
What about the prospects of riding at Glasgow? You're going to do a lot of laps around Glasgow in the next week or so, Chris, between the Riders' Championship and the Knockout Cup. We'll talk about that in just a minute or two. Is that a circuit you look forward to competing on?
Yeah, Glasgow's a track I enjoy. I've had some good results there. Touch wood. And yes, it's a great racetrack. And when I was there 2003 to last couple of years, it's obviously the improvement is just great. Remember when this grandstand was falling down, but now the owners and everything have put a lot of money into it, as you can see, and it's great. It's a great stadium to go to now, and one I enjoy going to.
In terms of the track, Chris, what is it about the circuit itself that you enjoy?
I don't know. It's quite narrow, but it's a nice shape. I enjoy the shape. I've always liked riding Glasgow. The shape of it's always been great to ride. So it's just one of them tracks that seems to suit me the way I ride, really.
Chris, I can remember back in the day, a long time ago, when we were all a lot younger. You mentioned 2003, and I think you rode with Trelawney back in those days. And I know for a fact that Glasgow expressed an interest in bringing you to Ashfield. It's never worked out, of course, given circumstances, and no doubt distance has always been a factor. Is it something you would ever rule out?
Yeah, obviously they did speak to me, but at the time, the travelling would have been quite far away from down in Cornwall at the time. So, but yeah, the future, you never know what's around the corner. I'm not getting any younger, as we know, but it's something that if it come along, I would consider and have a look at.
This has, of course, been your first year where you've sort of doubled back down to the championship, having spent a fairly lengthy time riding in the top level. How have you found that doubling up, and having a chance to compete again at this level?
Yeah, I've really enjoyed it. People said it was going to be a step backwards and all this rubbish, but when you look at the riders over in it, you got Daniel King, Craig Cook is now a Grand Prix rider. Stevie there, and Richie Worrell. Sam Masters. You got good riders, so it ain't easy. So I'd never seen it as a step back. I've seen it as a chance to get more bike time.
Chris, the Panthers, for various reasons, have courted some controversy this season. I mean, we won't go into all of that, of course, but it looks like an awesome circuit to have as your home track. Can you comment on how you found being a Panthers rider this season?
Yeah, I've really enjoyed it. It's helped me with my riding and all. It's another great track. It's a good shape. Not very good when there's not a lot of dirt on it. It is harder work, but when it's prepared right, it can be a fantastic racetrack. And it's definitely helped me no end with my riding. And it's the track where I gave my Elite League debut really season in 2002 and 2003. So holds fond memories there for me.
Chris, how do you feel their season might have panned out had you perhaps been in the lineup at the start of the year? You were, of course, brought in, during the season, and you guys seem to have, had a fairly decent finish to the season. Is it a little bit of frustration that you didn't manage to get that at the start of the year, and you might have been able to challenge in the playoffs?
Yeah, something I wanted to do was double up beginning of the year, but for reason it didn't happen with the averages and no team spaces. But coming in, I think if they had me in the season, I think we'd have definitely been in the playoffs, so we'd have probably won it.
Chris, I know you're pulling your own leg about your age, your maturing years now, but obviously you were involved in Roscoe's Team GB World Cup squad this year, and obviously we know that you have been a GP rider for many seasons. Do you still have aspirations at that top level?
Yeah, I was disappointed to miss out last year at Bellevue. So to get back in again, I worked hard to make sure I was on Roscoe's plans, and it was something that I wanted to do. And I definitely want to get back in the Grand Prix. I still feel I can have some fun in there and race at that level, really. So people might not think I can, but but I believe I can. I will keep going.
Have you missed that, Chris, from your itinerary this year? Have you missed the cut and thrust and all the challenges of GP Speedway?
I've missed the racing and the atmosphere. Even though when you're at the back, you still, I still miss being there and the part of it. I don't miss the travelling and the expense that comes with it. But for being a part of it, it was a great experience and something that I would love to get back into.
Chris, how with Craig Cook, you mentioned a little bit earlier on, he's obviously going to be going into the Grand Prix next year, and a big step up for Craig, of course. What would be your advice to him to approaching the next season and having to make that step up? What would be the things you would say to him that would stand him in good stead in that kind of competition?
Well, to be fair, he spoke to me a few times about it when we've seen each other at the tracks, and told him to make sure he's got a big bank balance. Going to need it because you do throw a lot of money at it to compete with the best, and the thing that he needs to do is just relax really and enjoy it. It's his first year in it, so just don't overcomplicate it. I think if he can just go in and do what he's been doing at Bellevue and Workington all year, it's stand him in good stead. He's a good gator, so that he's got that on his side. Where I was never the best to get at, to always come from the back, but it's hard at that level. They're all world-class riders, so you can't pass them ones as easy as you can in the leagues.
Chris, you say that about your gating, and this was a question that I've written down, and I was always going to ask you this one. And this is based on my observation of you, based on televised meetings this year, or when I've seen you race at Glasgow a couple of times, and I've sensed that your gating has improved this season.
Yeah, it has improved. I don't know what. I think just altering the way we sort of start a little bit and the clutch setup and just a combination of different things really it's helped. I wish I'd done it years ago, but I've never changed and I've just always done the same routine, but we've changed a few things this year and it has helped. I don't always make the better ones, but we don't want to make them all because we need to come from the back and entertain the crowd sometimes.
Absolutely.
How good does your gating have to be at that kind of Grand Prix level? Can you go and win championships if you can't get out the start? If you're not among the best gators in the business?
At Grand Prix level?
Yeah.
You can. You don't have to be the best gator. Mark Ram was never the best gator, and he was just consistent that year. He won it, so it's just about consistent, really. But if you can make a few gates and pull off a few wins, it does help you over the night. But as you've seen this year, Jason Dole's been consistent all year, really. Even with his injury, he was making finals, and that's what makes a good rider, just consistency. So if you can do that and score points in every race, then you're in there. And then when you're into the semis and your final, that's where obviously you need to make up them extra points.
Chris, so a big night, of course, coming up on Saturday night at Glasgow, and on Sunday, all roads lead back down to the showground for the first leg of a KO Cup semi-final clash against Glasgow before both teams regroup again in Glasgow next Tuesday. What's your views of the Glasgow side when you cast your eye down the riders that we have at our disposal?
Yeah, the ones you've got left in your team, you haven't got a few injury problems, but they're a solid side. From 1 to 7 really. They're all capable of winning races, especially around the showground. It's a good fair track, so it's going to be a tough 2 legs for both teams, I believe, because I believe we've got a good side as well, and we're good at home. And yeah, I'm looking forward to that challenge to go up against your best riders.
One man that you've got in your team, of course, and who we should see on Saturday night as well, is Jack Holder, who's has been talked about a lot this year as well for a variety of reasons. Tell us a little bit about Jack and what he's like on and off the track.
Yeah, he's a good kid. I've known him for years. Obviously, he's been over with Chris for years at Grand Prix, so I've known him. So I've really had not much to do with him really yet when I have seen him, because obviously I've been doing my own thing. But this year riding with him, he's a great talent. Real smooth on the bike, and I believe he's going to go far in the sport if he can just keep doing what he's doing. And just sort of enjoying his racing. That's what he's doing. He's a young kid enjoying it, having fun, and it shows on his racing. Because when you're out there watching, he's great to watch around the showground. And yeah, may long it continue for him.
Chris, no matter who you're racing for, who you have raced for, it's always a delight to see you in action. And a rare couple of visits to Glasgow coming up in the next week or so for Glasgow fans to savour. Thank you very much for joining us on TIGERBITE tonight. We look forward to seeing you in action over the course of the next week or so. And on behalf of Glasgow Speedway, good luck to you and your partner. It's going to be an interesting winter for you both.
Thank you. Yeah, it's going to be a busy one, moving house and having a little one coming along in the new season. So yeah, we're looking forward to it.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks for your time, and we look forward to seeing you on Saturday.
Cheers. Thank you, and you. Cheers.
There you are, Brian, the self-proclaimed veteran at age 35, Chris Harris, and clearly he relishes racing at Glasgow. He's well suited to the banking that we have, isn't he?
Yeah, it certainly is. I remember seeing him right at the start of the season in the Ben Fund meeting, and I think he went from last to first in one race, going round outside of his competitors. So, yeah, spectacular. You don't get too many better racers in this country than Chris Harris. So, I would suggest would be worth the admission money alone on Saturday night.
Well, I'm sure Glasgow's Facebook page, social media, will bring you the revised lineup in advance of Saturday night. As you say, Brian, a few enforced changes since the intended first staging of this meeting, but a hugely attractive, hugely prestigious and hugely entertaining meeting awaits on Saturday night. Tapes up at 7 p.m. Gates will open at 5 p.m. Make sure, please, that you turn up nice and early. Get yourself stationed in a good viewing spot. There's plenty of them at Ashfield, of course, these days. And fill your boots, because the Speedway season is fast running out.
Yep, absolutely. It's we do at least have one more meeting to look forward to in the KO Cup. But yeah, like I said, I think this is just a good chance to enjoy a bit of an end of season party in some respects. Just hopefully some fantastic racing, which I think it will be. I think the lineup just will set itself up for that, and hopefully a big crowd on a Saturday night under the floodlights at Ashfield. It can't really get much better than that.
Yep, and of course the end of season party, Brian, is only 2 weeks away. 2 weeks on Saturday, 28th of October in the Marriott Hotel in Glasgow. Tickets still available, final tickets still available for purchase and in the Tigers shop on Saturday night, or indeed via the Tigers Den during the next week or so. Make sure that you book your seat at the end of season dance and awards ceremony, because there's going to be a very special guest joining us, of course, this year. None other than the current world champion, Greg Hancock, coming back to Glasgow already, Brian.
Yeah, he must love it here. I don't think it's the weather that's pulling him back, so it must be the club itself. So it'd be great to see Greg back on these shores again, and a rare treat for fans to get up close and personal with the world champ.
I'm sure he wants to meet you, Brian, because he missed out the last time that he was over.
That must be
So there we have it. That's TIGERBITE for tonight. Look forward to seeing you at Ashfield in numbers on Saturday night. If for any reason you can't make it along on Saturday night, remember another Taste of Speedway next Tuesday, as the Tigers aim to reach the Knockout Cup final to defend the cup that we won, of course, just 1 year ago. That's all from Brian now. We will come back next week and recap on all of the weekend and early week's action, and look forward to your company then. Meantime, see you at Ashfield on Saturday and Tuesday. Thanks for joining. Good night.
Good night.